we were taught actually you make better progress if you turn your blues and twos off, your lights, just hang back, clear the hazards, and then put them back on and go when it's safe to do so. Sure, if you ever get the chance to speak to a control room operator,
you've done what?
Yeah, my God, yeah. Some of the people, what they ring in with. A chap had gone into A&E with something stuck on his.
What was it?
It was an industrial like bearing, the outer shell of a bearing that you'd put a conveyor belt roller through. It weighed about 1 kilo. We ended up in the operating theatre.
Wow.
6 or 8 firefighters in the operating theatre, in scrubs, with a 4.5-inch angle grinder.
That's all right, neither of us have been in the makeup department this morning, have we? So, you're right.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jason.
Hello.
Jason has just come down from John. You actually live
9 miles from John O'Groats.
all the way up there. We met when I was up doing the John O'Groats challenge, when you popped by for a beverage at the most northern.
That's right, the Seaview Hotel.
Yeah. And you golf.
Yeah, Golf VR6. Yeah.
And today you're down here buying my 3 Series
BMW.
estate, which I mean I shouldn't really say this, but you've already paid me, so it's okay. I'm not sure you need it. You've got a few cars, haven't you?
I have got a few cars, and yeah, I've been told to reduce the collection of cars.
Right, so you're reducing the collection of cars by adding one more.
Yeah, by adding one more, and then we can make our minds up what we're going to get rid of, I think. But yeah, we've got ranging from 1964 to 2014. So yeah, we like a diesel estate.
Yeah.
We've got well, we did have. What have we got? We've got an Audi A6 S-Line 3 litre Quattro. It's a 2006, nice car, but the tax, our government's killing us on that one.
But do you kind of need 4-wheel drive for where you are?
In the winter, we do get snow, but we don't get a huge amount of snow, not as much as sort of Moray and that sort of area.
Yeah.
But it's the ice and the rain, I think, yeah. It does help with 4-wheel drive. And a lot of people run their cross climate and the winter tyres.
Yeah.
So yeah, good idea. Definitely safer.
So Quattro Audi.
Yeah, I've got a Skoda Octavia 2014. That's a 4-wheel drive one as well. What else have I got? Hang on. I've got 2 Daihatsu 4-tracks.
Love a 4-track.
Got buy one get one free, that deal was. Got a Triumph GT6 Mark 1, Range Rover Classic 1974. That's a project. 1964 Series 2A Land Rover. My wife's got a 2005 Mini Park Lane. Yeah. Which is a mint one. She's got an MGB GT which she loves. She's second owner on that.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've forgotten something in there.
And you golf?
Golf VR6 Mark III. Yeah, which makes me grin every time I go out in it and boot it. But
nice.
I did get a look the other day going, how old are you? But it was good. It was good. It was all safe and all legal. Yeah. But yeah, it's got a lovely soundtrack.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, really good.
So adding the BMW to the fleet, and in order to add the BMW to the fleet, you have gone from John O'Groats to Thurso.
Yeah. So my wife kindly dropped me off at the train station, so I took advantage of how reliable public transport is.
Our wonderful public transport network. Yeah,
indeed. So I booked a train in advance from Thurso to Inverness, which would get me to Inverness in time to get a megabus down to Birmingham, and then get a train from Birmingham to Droitwich, and then meet yourself. Got to Thurso, train cancelled.
So the first step of your public transport journey was scuppered.
Yeah, was scuppered. The next train was 3-4 hours later, which would miss the megabus.
Right.
So I asked the lady in the train station, is there an overnight train that's later from Inverness down to Birmingham? No, not over the weekend. So I was like, great, okay. So phone around, favour, and I got a friend kindly who brought an old Passat off me. He dropped everything, and he ended up taking me to Inverness. And we made up some time. Yeah. And we got there in time to catch the megabus.
That's quite a drive from Thurso to Inverness, isn't
it? It's about 120. It's about 2.5-3 hours. It actually takes longer.
So it's a decent favour, basically.
It's a decent favour. Yeah, I did help him out. I serviced a Passat for him. So, yeah. And I ended up driving it to give him a break as well. It was my old car, so all insured, of course.
Right, so you ended up having to drive your own car to catch the train that you'd missed to get the bus that you booked.
Yeah, to get the bus.
Because we had this conversation the other day, didn't we? We didn't know that the megabus was still a thing.
No.
So then you got your megabus from Glasgow. That was early this morning.
Yeah, the megabus run from Inverness to Glasgow.
We're filming midday Sunday, by the way, and your epic adventure started yesterday.
Saturday, started Saturday lunchtime, and then it gets, you change in Glasgow, and then it goes from Glasgow down to Birmingham.
Yeah.
And that was on time.
Yeah.
And then, the train station obviously doesn't open in Birmingham till 8 o'clock in the morning, so a couple of hours to kill in Birmingham.
Yep.
People watching in the centre of Birmingham.
At 6 o'clock in the morning.
Interesting, very interesting, and a lot of people are still coming from their Saturday night. And a few of our less fortunate folk are out there as well on the street. And then it was get the bus, get the train that I'd already booked in advance.
That should have been the easy bit. Birmingham to Bromsgrove.
Birmingham to Bromsgrove, yeah.
Oh, sorry, Birmingham to Droitwich.
Birmingham to Droitwich, yeah.
Was meant to be the plan.
Meant to be the plan. Then there was sitting there on the platform, the train's not moving, the time's going by. Fault with the train, it'll be delayed.
That was another hour, wasn't it? It was delayed by
an hour.
And in the
end they cancelled the train, they couldn't move the train, so we had to wait another hour for the train that stopped everywhere, and then eventually got to Bromsgrove, and you picked us up from Bromsgrove.
Because there was no train from Bromsgrove to Droitwich.
No.
That was a rail replacement bus.
Yeah.
So at that point I just thought, I'll go and get you.
Yeah, because it was just, do I put my faith in yet another bit of public transport to do the final leg of the journey? No, and thank you very much.
We can sort of laugh about it now, but that's embarrassing, isn't it?
I'm not a big public transport user, and it reminds me why I'm not really. And to have that independence and freedom of your own transport.
Yeah.
On this occasion I couldn't, because I was coming down to pick up a car, but it puts you off it, and it's got bad. It's getting worse, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of people, certainly up our way in Caithness and Sutherland, rely on public transport links to get to the big hospitals in Inverness.
Yeah.
And if your transport link evaporates or is cancelled forever, you could miss quite an important hospital appointment.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any forethought for that, and I don't think our MPs or anyone are really taking up those sort of battles, unfortunately.
I don't think they care, do they?
I don't think they
I think you reach a conclusion when the people in charge of the world just flat out, I can't decide if they hate us, as in they really dislike the people they're looking after, or they just don't care.
I think they just, for the majority of them are career politicians, unfortunately.
Yeah.
They're in a very good setup. I believe, if I'm wrong correctly, but 7 years you do as an MP, and then you get a full pension, and it's a non-contributory pension as well. So you've only got to behave as an MP for 7 years, and you've got a full pension when you retire. Coming from the public sector myself, we paid from the day you joined to the day you retired.
Yeah.
Quite a considerable bit of your wages, which for a good pension, which a lot of us have had changed as well. But
what was the term? We were on the motorway and you used the term. What was it? Was it pension protection mode or something like that?
And I think you'll find a lot of people, as they get in their last few years within the public sector, go into public protection mode, and you end up towing the party line more than ever, and perhaps not being so vocal at meetings, and
so they'll
withholding comments on certain
stuff. So they'll conduct themselves in a way where their only goal is to get to the end and protect that pension.
I think so, because of the climate, and you become, it's horrible to say, but I think that does go on in the public sector. If you've got viewers out there that are ex-police, fire, ambulance, you do end up having to do something like that.
It's a big incentive not to rock the boat, isn't it?
You pay so much into it, and to fall foul of something in your final years would be foolish in today's climate, I think. Yeah.
So you did many years as a fire service person, man.
31 years.
You started back in the day where we could still call them firemen.
I did. I've got it on my contract, I think. Somewhere, old contract, 1990. No, not as old as some firemen. Obviously started many years before me, but really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
great job. Yeah,
driving
fantastic.
trucks and going fast and saving people. And
learned a lot about driving. Learned a lot through the experience of driving, and I learned a lot about other people's driving. And how people react, and some react better than others. I think when you see blue lights, and it's. I think we need a rule a bit like America, where you actually give way. You part like the Red Sea when you see a truck or an ambulance or something.
I always feel like I've got quite good spidey senses for sirens and blue lights coming up behind me, and I always work hard to get my car out of the way.
Yeah.
And it frustrates me when I'm behind someone who sees the blue lights and stops. I think there's not, and I've had someone else in the car in a similar position in emergency services. People don't seem to understand what to do.
No, they don't. I think there's very little input in that when people are learning to drive. And I think, again, it comes with experience, but a lot of people just purely panic and stop, and they take that gap away from you.
Yeah.
Or they close down, and they end up stopping in somewhere you won't. Just sometimes if you just happily continue and look for like a road to pull into, or the next lay-by, you know. And saying that, emergency services drivers shouldn't intimidate people, into stopping suddenly. And to be fair, they don't. Most of them don't with the way they're taught to drive.
Yeah.
And on roads now, if you've got double white lines, we were taught actually you make better progress if you turn your blues and twos off, your lights, just hang back, clear the hazards, and then put them back on and go when it's safe to do so. You shouldn't be putting other people at risk. But people should also be much more aware of their surroundings on the road. They're just not. They're just.
So, absolutely. So, one that we haven't discussed off camera, right? Having spent that long as a fireman, service person, as a fire people, what would be your top advice for staying alive?
I mean, in a domestic setting, I think people. You do need to common sense. Don't ever lose your common sense. Smoke alarms, they do work, to be fair. Get out, stay out, and keep call us out at the end or call the fire service out, emergency services. But just have some common sense. A lot of people have just common sense is obliterated. Some of the calls on control room used to get, as do the police and the ambulance. Absolutely ridiculous,
But I'd imagine as well, working in the control centre will give you a new understanding of the base level of intelligence in humans. Because we presume, you walk through the world thinking people have got a certain level of intelligence.
And everyone's like you, and clearly they're not when you listen to some of the calls. And I'm sure if you ever get the chance to speak to a control room operator,
you've done what?
Yeah. My God, some of the people, what they ring in with, and I think they ring into the emergency services when they can't get hold of anyone else, whatever's gone wrong, and can you come out and fix it? Or you just think, really?
Especially with the police as well, being called for petty arguments, and it must be really difficult to work in those positions.
And obviously,
get off the phone.
Well, and if we're going out to something like that, a malicious call, we're not available to go out to something we really should be going to or be available to go to. So, which is a thing. And with diminishing public services, the response side of it does get squeezed more and more at the end of the day.
I did a video about this just the other day. Worcester, they've got rid of 7 fire engines,
exactly.
Which seems to me like a large amount for the area.
It is, and it does. And I have an understanding of what goes on to keep an organisation running. I was a station officer when I retired. But you do see the sharp end suffering because of it, I think, unfortunately. It's a shame to say. And that emergency response side of it. I know things evolve and things change, but at the end of the day, if someone phones 999, you should expect an emergency service to be available and turn up with the right skills and resources to deal with the job.
Yeah, and ideally within a certain time frame, depending on what it is.
Definitely, without a doubt.
And the other thing that we discussed that had never occurred to me before was people claiming for damage to their car that they've done the damage whilst getting out the way of fire engines.
Years ago, before all our vehicles, I've retired now, but all our fire trucks now and cars have got CCTV.
Yeah.
Professionally fitted, front, back, sides, wherever, fitted, and they obviously record all the movements of the vehicle, all the inputs from the vehicle, braking, you know, acceleration, blue lights on, headlights on, indicators, you know, whatever. So before we had those, we would, or the services, and I'm sure it's the same across the country, you would unfortunately get people taking advantage of the fact that you've just made your way to an incident and they've had to take evasive action, and they then claim for a new set of alloy wheels or damaged alloy wheels because they were forced up the road by the fire engine.
Yeah.
Or, as I had in the past, a car accidents do happen. We clipped a wing mirror on a car when we were going to an emergency incident, a door mirror that was sticking out a bit further than everyone else on rows of parked cars. Turned up a week later with the whole side of the car stoved in to say that we'd done it. Well, clearly it was before mobile phones, it was before, you know, CCTV. Unfortunately, you know, the public sector and the public money, the public purse did suffer because of people, unscrupulous people taking advantage. So now we've found with CCTV footage, when a claim, someone comes in with a complaint, so they were run off, you know, they say they were allegedly run off the road by a fire engine, or it clipped their vehicle. The first thing we say, that's absolutely fine. Give us the details, time, details, location of the incident, and we'll review our CCTV footage. Quite often, you'll find that the complainant will back down when they find out that you've got
everything
CCTV
recorded.
Sometimes it's useful and it apportions blame accordingly.
Yeah.
But yeah, quite, you know, the unscrupulous ones out there will won't continue with their pursuing their claim, should we say. Yeah.
Was there anything really stupid that you had to go to, head in a bucket sort of thing?
I've been to I've been to enough, as we all do in the fire service. We go to numerous incidents, you remember, and I ended up in the Luton and Dunstable Hospital with a number of other colleagues. I used to crew something called a specialist rescue unit, and we had without going into too much detail, a chap had gone into A&E with something stuck on his manhood, for want of a better description.
Right.
The hospital staff couldn't get it off. They called us because we got like a mini rescue kit. So we were
a small angle grinder.
Yeah. Well, funny you should say that. My mate's done a book on the funny incidents.
Oh, really?
And it's in his book. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, cut a long story short, we tried our usual things, to do like a Dremel and a bigger Dremel, and we weren't touching it. And in the end, because following medical guidance and the way things were going, again without going in, we ended up in the operating theatre.
Wow.
6 or 8 firefighters in the operating theatre, in scrubs, with a 4.5-inch angle grinder, and the rest of us were. I started on the angle. My colleague who's retired before me started on the angle grinder, and we obviously had to be precision grinding to cut through this thing.
What was it?
It was an industrial like bearing, the outer shell of a bearing that you'd put a conveyor belt roller through. Man, it weighed about 1 kilo, I think, this thing. It was anyway, yeah, we ended up cutting it off with an angle grinder. We got to A&E when the guy was originally in the bay, Compass Mendes. 8 in the evening, we left at 4 in the morning. So how long it took. But the resources taken to do that, we had a specialist rescue unit there and a fire engine from Dunstable there.
Was it an industrial accident, or was it?
No, apparently, I don't know if it was
something that fell.
It was like a bet or something. It was something. It was a complete waste of time. It wasn't an accident.
Yeah.
Obviously, he'd had it on for 24 hours prior to going to the hospital.
Oh my goodness.
So it wasn't good.
No,
it wasn't good. I won't give dates or time as well. No. Yeah, I don't know any names. So
brilliant.
But all the people that were at the incident will know who they are.
Yeah. How'd you decompress after that? You get it off, he's, you know, in the care of the hospital, you walk out, you all sort of look at each other and like, what did we just deal with?
And anyone, again, that's in the emergency services, within your own circles, you've got to have a certain sort of black humour to
Yeah.
deal with some of the incidents you go to, and for someone to see or listen to the black humour that's not within those circles, it would seem inappropriate.
Yeah. But it's a
But
way of
it's
dealing
not-
with what
but
you've
yeah,
seen.
you know, it's trauma at the end of the day. We used to have a laugh and go back and have a cup of tea and a bit of cake or supper and defuse. And
Yeah.
we wouldn't never laugh at other people's expense, but you'd have to defuse in a way. You know?
Yeah.
You're only human.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
And do you get nice things happen as well? Do you get people dropping cake into the station?
Well, something that changed. We always used to get people who would come out with a tray of tea and biscuits if you're at a fire or an incident in the street. Obviously not road traffic collisions, but you always get that sort of property fire, and that diminished over the years. But
well, that's an interesting observation, isn't it?
it is.
As time's gone on, there's less
there
trays of
is.
tea and cake coming out.
There's less tolerance and less goodwill, and in the end, you'd get people coming out very rarely, but you would. And again, as a station officer, you deal with complaints where people would come out and say, "How long are you going to be parked there for?" And the house across the road's on fire, and you've got fire engines. You try and be considerate, and you'll move and reposition your vehicles when you can. But at the end of the day, an emergency incident is going to take precedence in someone's life. So.
And at the end of the day, it didn't really get to you because all you did after finishing in the force was move 700 miles.
Yeah,
to the top of
exactly.
the
No,
country.
it didn't get to me at all the hustle and bustle. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But now you're far out of it.
I am far away from the county I used to live in. Although I visit obviously friends and relatives. Yeah, and do many miles in diesel estates. So.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah,
well, hopefully this diesel estate will do you well enough.
Well, I'm looking forward to driving it back because it'll be much better than the journey down.
Yeah,
so,
it will.
Yeah.
Right, thanks for coming down. I thank you for sharing
No problem at all.
stories.
Yeah,
I'm going to go
that.
check that I haven't got my manhood stuck in an industrial bearing.
Oh, don't call me out.